Hello everyone, it's Luke here and welcome to Homemade Reviews. Just a heads up, the clue is in the title. This really is homemade. I have very little tech skills, but I really love movies. If you are seeking highly polished professional videos, this may not meet your expectations. However, if you do like low budget movie geek talk, you might just enjoy hanging out with me. As always, if you do enjoy my little slice of nonsense, please like and subscribe, really does go a long way. And if you do want to join in and write a review of your own, my email will be in the description. Or if you just want to highlight some films I should be reviewing, whack it in the comments, I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, I have real broad taste in movies. But my real love is horror, thriller and classics, and those movies that don't really get the praise or attention they really deserve. Now, I have on occasion reviewed blockbusters, Hollywood, those big star vehicles, but for a while I think I'm going to do a run of movies that are a little bit off the beaten track. Now, today's choice is a movie that I think has kind of been forgotten about, and I just wanted to shine a light on it and really give you my thoughts. So let's talk Last Exit to Brooklyn. But to talk about this movie, we really need to discuss the book. And my word, what a book it is. The novel was written in 1964 by author Herbert Selby Jr. He also wrote Requiem for a Dream, which is another banger, but that's for another time. And it really did cause quite a stir in its release. Due to its uncompromising subject matter, it contains really graphic descriptions of drug use, street violence, gang rape, homophobia, prostitution, domestic violence, to name a few. And due to this was subject of a real big obscenity trial here in the UK and was actually banned in Italy. Now, not only was the subject matter challenging, but the structure and grammar of the book was a real game changer with its coarse slang and utter disregard for prose norms. So we have a book that caused loads of fuss, was banned and was like anything else at the time. And to quote the poet Allen Ginsberg, he said, "This book will explode like a rusty hellish bombshell over America, and it will still eagerly be read in 100 years." Well, that quote was over 60 years ago, and it is still highly regarded today, so Mr. Ginsberg was bang on the money here. Now, I read this book way before I saw the movie, and when reading it, it was fair to say that I thought it was one of those books that was utterly unfilmable, and a film adaptation would be impossible. So let's see how right or wrong I was. So with that in mind, let's get to the movie. So Last Exit in Brooklyn was made in 1989, but the idea for an adaptation had been in discussion for over 20 years, and before this release, every name you can imagine was interested or attached to it at one point. And we're talking some real big hitters like Kubrick, De Palma, even the animator Ralph Bakshi, the guy behind that Lord of the Rings adaptation. But in the end, it was a German producer who got the rights to this movie, and it was actually directed by another German, Uli Edel, who was just coming out of the success of Christian F. See the link for that review, by the way, because that is a corker of a movie. So that's enough background. What is it all about, I hear you ask me? Well, to be honest, it's a really tough one, as it's more of a collection of short stories that kind of interweave at various points, but it doesn't really have what you'd call a linear narrative. There is no beginning, middle or an end here. Like the book, the film is set in 1950s Brooklyn, in an area really known for its poverty, drug culture and violence. And to be fair, this is one of the most gloomy and depressing urban settings I think I've ever seen in a movie. The film's backdrop is that of the blue-collar workers who have entered the 6th month of a strike against a local factory. But really, this is just the setting in which the brief character studies kind of play out. Now, without giving too many spoilers, it could be said that there are 5 mini-stories here, and I'm going to do my best to give you a brief overview of each. So we have shop steward Harry Black, who in his new role as strike secretary really allows him to get out of the house, away from his wife and his completely loveless marriage. Now, Harry is a buttoned-up man, brimming with anger and confusion, which is clearly down to the fact that he's gay and living in an unforgiving world. His story is that of a closeted man being captivated by Regina, who's a transgender woman. He falls in love with her, while her feelings aren't mutual. This relationship, of course, ends very poorly for Harry. Meanwhile, Tralala is a prostitute who lures unsuspecting sailors out to a vacant lot to be robbed by Vinny and his gang. And he's like an ex-convict and her pimp. Now, her story is that of a woman who's being used by the world around her, and we watch as she sinks deeper and deeper into degradation. She at one point meets a man with genuine affections for her, but as you can guess, her story ends in horrific crimes against her. Then we have Georgette, who's a young transgender woman who harbours real feelings and a crush for Vinny the pimp, but he doesn't kind of feel the same. And yes, you've guessed it, doesn't end well for her either. And then we've got Big Joe, who's one of the striking workers, and he really struggles to accept the fact that his daughter gets pregnant out of wedlock and he has to kind of embrace his future son-in-law. So I didn't give you much there, but as you can tell, it's some really gloomy subject matter and really unusual subject matter. So what's this film really all about? Well, you have despair, both self-created and forced upon despair. There's a lot of sex without love here. In fact, you could say the whole movie is about the lack of love. It is completely loveless. You have the idea of kind of camaraderie in despair. And this movie is both completely humane and utterly savage at the same time. It's kind of about making the best of what you have without ever trying to escape it. Kind of knowing this is what you're going to do and you're never going to move on from it.
Brace yourself.
I don't want to know anything.
This film holds you in its grip.
They're coming out. This thing's gonna get out of hand here. We're gonna need some backup.
On the mean streets of Brooklyn, there's a strike.
You want to give in now? Is that what you want? No, we want to work.
In a neighborhood with 3 strikes against it.
You think she's just fat? But she is fat. She's fat, and she's a virgin. No more she ain't. Oh, Jesus. Better.
Boys, got something on your minds?
Light.
Does it put $200 to you and teach them a lesson they'll never forget?
It's the last stop.
I had a couple days left before I ship out. Maybe we could spend them together.
What do you mean, spend them together?
It's the last hope.
An officer in Manhattan. Shut up!
Now, if I was going to try and sum this movie up, I'd simply say it's about change. All the characters are trying to change, but with that comes damage. It really is a bleak snapshot of life on like the margins of society. This is not a date movie. One, unless your date is a film nerd like me, then I salute you. The acting, although, is a bit overblown at times, but Jennifer Jason Leigh is a real highlight. But to me, this isn't an actor's movie. This is about set design, which is wonderfully bleak. The script that just sounds like broken poetry to my ears, all with the soundtrack by Mark Knopfler. Now, as you can tell, I absolutely love this film, but I could see why you wouldn't like it. It doesn't have a cohesive story. It doesn't really get tied up in a nice bow. There's some horrific scenes in it. It's utterly bleak. It's hyper-realistic with a focus on marginalised people. And if you like that kind of stuff, well, this is for you. Now, I could talk about this movie forever, but I'm going to save you any more of my ramblings and simply say thanks for watching. And please let me know what you think in the comments and what I should review next.